Hi again, everyone. Welcome to day two of my three-part workshop series, Raising Families for a World in Flux, the future-proof skills you and your kids need to flourish in uncertainty. And thank you so much for everyone who's here joining me live. And thanks to everyone who's watching this on the replay. Yesterday on day one, I talked about how the world today is going through a stage of renovation, and a part of it looks a bit scary and chaotic, but it's part of the change. And I also brought in the theme of innovation, like how all these new technologies are coming online. And with the renovation and the innovation, there's also an elevation in consciousness that is happening. People are waking up, people are becoming mindful and aware. So all these three are working together to help us step into this new future that no one knows what it looks like. And I did say yesterday that change starts at home. So do not underestimate the power you have as an individual and the power that you have by impacting the people in your immediate family, in your vicinity, your friends. And I ended up inviting you to give yourself permission to choose, like do a very conscious choice whether you want to own that you're here in these changing times and that you have the power to uh, change and choose the future that you want. Today, I'm going to talk about the birthrights. I call them birthrights that every person has that will help us navigate change. And they're mostly two big birthrights, and they go hand in hand. And I'll come to them in a minute. Um, so I did say yesterday that we are coming into times where we can no longer rely on logic because logic and knowledge, they build upon things that we already know. Now, what's happening is that something new is coming online, so we don't know what it is. We have no previous data to rely on. So here's where these two big birthrights that I'm going to speak about today come into the picture. Now, the first one, and I'm sure you had already guessed what it is intuition. It's our intuition. And intuition is a birthright because every single human is born with that uh, skill or ability, that intuitive ability. And for me to define what intuition is, I always need to go back to that law of oneness and how we are all connected to everything else, how we are part of this big web of life. And I call it web of intelligence. Life is intelligent. If and when I talk about life, I mean every single thing that is on this earth, whether it's us humans, animals, plants, rocks, um, uh, earth elements, the air, like every single thing on this earth has some sort of intelligence. And we are all connected to this intelligence. Uh, I like to think of I like to think of it in the same way that the human body is made up of, bones and muscles and cells and blood, how everything is connected and everything works together to make this whole human body function. In the same way, this is what we are. We're humans on this big planet of Earth, and we are all connected to everything else on this earth. What that means that the intelligence that is available on the earth is also available to us. And intuition is nothing more our ability to connect to that intelligence. It is very different from instinct. Intuition is different from instinct. Instinct is wiring. It's a biological wiring that tells us, okay, we're in danger. We need to react in this way. Intuition is more of a guiding energy that tells us, you have to do this today. You have to pay attention to this right now. It's not, it's not a biological wiring that helps us react to situations. And intuition will always leads us towards something. Uh, it, the way when I first like really started paying attention to my intuition, I was given a hint that intuition will not tell you to run away or stay away from something. Intuition will tell you go do something or go towards something. And it took a bit of trial and error to see what that actually means. Uh, like it's hard to explain like this, so it's and I'm gonna come to it later, like how to actually tell that it's your intuition who is talking, not something else. Uh, Going back to the human body, um, yeah, so there's a question in the chat. Is it a lack of urgency? It's it might be urgent. No, like intuition might be urgent sometimes, but it's not based in um like a fear or a prime or like a primal terror feeling. It's more of a gentle nudge that is telling you, okay, this is the path that you need to follow. Uh, Instinct, like that gut instinct, that is the thing that is based on like immediate urgency and like big fear. And we need both. Like we need intuition, we need instinct, and we also need our logical reasoning. The problem is when we rely on something more than the other. That's when the imbalance happens, when we rely on something more than the other. And intuition is something that we have forgotten, especially during our modern age, where we sort of started living a bit out of connection, out of harmony with nature. I want to take you back to the ancient times, back when like people lived in caves and how they were living so much in tune with their surroundings. And it was intuition that they relied on to know where to move at this time, where to go gather food, if the weather is changing, how to find shelter. Why? Because they listened to the signs around them. They watched the birds. They saw the animals. They watched the clouds, the stars. They were so in tune with that intelligence all around them. And that's how their intuition was like at such high level. And intuition is what helped them survive, like even through through like those conditions in old days. Like it's a very powerful thing that, these days we've forgotten that we actually have it because of our, modern conveniences um, and also the way we are brought up these days. Like we go to school and we have all this info given to us instead of learning how to actually pause and listen and tune in and watch nature. That's how we've forgotten that we have this, I call it an ancient magic, this intuition. And and it never goes away. That's why I call it a birthright, because it never goes away. It is, you get born with it, it stays with you. You only forget that you have it. Uh, I want to go back to the human body. And there's like things that we really need to know about the human body is that it's not just our physiological um, um, material that we can touch, but around us, there's also this big field of energy that is always surrounding us, a field of, electromagnetic energy that puts us in touch with our surroundings. And it's our antenna, let's think of it like the antenna of a TV that gets that receives signals from the intelligence of the universe around us. So the more that we're aware of that energetic body around us, the more that our intuition can um, have a medium to give and take with us. And of course, this moves me into the second big birthright, which is um, our intuition cannot function properly if our nervous system is in an uncentered state. So, our second birthright is actually nervous system regulation. And I call it a birthright because it's something that we can create for ourselves, regardless of what's happening around us. We can be our own safety. Again, regardless of what's happening around us. And this might trigger a lot of people. A lot of people might not agree with me, but that's how, um, again, that's how people have survived millennials and years and wars and all these, big hardships. That's how people have gone through that by being able to create their own safety, regardless of what's happening around them. And what that means, okay, first of all, being aware of how the nervous system actually functions. And knowing that fear is is at its foundation, it's a physiological response in our body. That's what it is. And if we can meet it on that physiological level, we can actually contain it and um, be able to function even with the fear being present. And fear, stress, anxiety, like you can name whatever like emotion that can take us out of center. How to understand this? Like the body, the physical body has hormones, and when fear is triggered, these kind of hormones just, they oversaturate in the body, and we don't need to know more than that scientifically, but the way to meet them is through certain techniques to bring the physical body back into balance. And these techniques are very simple, and they're just deep breathing, physical touch, um, body shaking, body movement, swaying actions. They are very simple. But what prevents us from like really implementing them is the stories that our minds tell us, that we're stuck in that mental pattern and we're not able to get the mind quiet. Uh, I have a very long history with anxiety, and like especially during my teen years, my mind was very obsessive. I used to like stress a lot over exams, over life, over anything. And I wish I knew that, like that practice of just silencing the mind or getting it to get quiet and just focusing on the physiological aspects of my body. Fear and anxiety can feel very uncomfortable in the body. So what we tend to do is we kind of escape the body and go out. But and that's where it kind of it doesn't get better because we're leaving it, we're abandoning it, and it kind of gets worse because it's the charge of the fear gets stays with us. It doesn't go away. It just stays stuck with us. And learning how to, first of all, recognize that it's happening. That's the first part of the process, awareness, being able to recognize that this is what's happening right now. And remembering that this fear is a physiological response and that I have the power to meet it physiologically and to return to the body and do these skills, breathe, hug, physical touch, um, until my body goes down to that calm state. And that's where I can move on to the next stage. Uh, Learning how to regulate the nervous system, like we know how to do it when we are kids, when we are very young, we cuddle with the people we love, or we, cuddle with a blanket or a pillow or a pet. Um, Somehow along the growing up again, because of our circumstances, our conditioning, we get told like to we forget these kind of practices. And it depends on you as a person and what you've gone through and what your circumstances were. But like when you're a teenager, uh, hugging your mom or your dad suddenly becomes you're defensive about it, or someone else is defensive about it, and you lose that practice. And we're not told that, oh, it's okay if we can hug ourselves. Not like that's not something that I knew about when I was young. Like I only learned about it when I was an adult and like, okay, reparent myself. But if I knew how to do that when I was a kid, okay, just hug myself, treat myself with love and calm myself down. I didn't know that. I and like what I knew was that the mind was just wanted to create all these stories and keep me stuck in that loop. So these are the two things, the regulating your nervous system, being your own safety, and your intuition. These are the big two things that help us navigate change. And tomorrow I will be talking about the next two things, which are, I call them the superpowers, that will take us to the next stage. But if we, for now, for today, if we don't have our intuitive muscle working and our nervous system regulated, we'll like we can't move out of that phase of being stuck. And when we have these two, it kind of ripples out to the space around us and to the people with us. uh, helping our kids and the people in our life who don't know about these tools, I feel it's a must. Yeah. Uh, and as you share in the chat, yeah, cuddling was not an option when I was growing up. Yeah. And like, um, I get it. Yeah. And we're not blaming anyone. It's just that sometimes like circumstances, that's what it is. And but now we know, so uh we move forward from here. Yeah. Um we are mammals. Like we can't deny that fact. Like we as humans are mammals. We're warm-blooded mammals, and physical touch is like an essential uh, way to co-regulate. Uh, I I can't stress this enough, but the body needs to feel safe. The physiological body needs to feel safe. Which brings me like to the idea that we have to remember that that we do have a physiological body. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck, that we're so much in our head. Um, yeah, uh, that's what I wanted to say about today. And the systems that are now in operation, whether it's our, the way we work, jobs, or social systems, or education, social media, they're all built on that idea of predictability, making things predictable, which puts us in like expectations, and puts us in that area of being passive, like, okay, expecting this. We conform to these, like, if we do this, this happens. All this, like, do not serve the age that we are coming into. Maybe they have served the industrial age that we were in, where, like, okay, people were treated as, machines to produce profits. It was all like uh, we were put in that system to feed the productivity. But now we're entering into that creative, conscious age, and it will require something very different from how we show up. And I think that's a lot of kids these days, especially teenagers in high schools, like they feel it. They just know that that the education system is not serving them, and but they don't know what it is. They're not able to articulate it. They're not able to like voice what it is, so it comes out as a rebellion, or as uh, like being upset, or just being stressed out. And the mental health issues that are, coming up are like, they're really staggering. The numbers are very staggering. And it's uh like we all agree something needs to change. Yeah. Yeah. And these the regulating the nervous system, I want to add a little bit to that one, is that it's a practice. It's not a thing that comes up and we fix it. No, it's a regular practice. In the same way that we brush our teeth every day, we don't wait until we have a toothache and, we fix it and then we brush our teeth to make it right. No, we brush our teeth right from the beginning every single day to keep it maintained. That's how we should treat our nervous system. It's it's a I call it an energy hygiene practice, where regardless of how our day went, we we do it every day. We release the stuck charge in our body, and we like show it care every single day. Yeah. And it takes devotion because it's something that is not normalized. Like y- it's a lot of families are bringing it into their homes. Like I try for my own kids to like I show up by example. Let them watch me do it, and I explain what I do. Of course, I can't force them to do it, but they know. And like my youngest does it with me, a bit of breathing. So yeah, the younger they are, the more of these habits that we can um, start creating in them, the better. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I talked a lot. I'd like to hear if anyone has any question or any share around intuition or being your own safety. And I'm going to talk about strengthening the intuition, the intuitive muscle in just a minute. Like how do we actually do that? Like I'm going to give you just something practical. Mm, yeah. And it feeling unsafe, like sometimes it becomes our defensiveness or our coping because we're so used to it. Like um, we, if we feel good, it feels weird. Sometimes we get to that stage where actually feeling good, it puts us into an alarm stage because we've not felt it for so long that we feel like, oh, something is wrong because we are so used to feeling the stress and the anxiety. Yeah. And there's there's just no way around it, around like recreating the safety in our body. The first stage is just releasing the stuck charge, releasing it by there are certain somatic techniques, just shaking, making sounds, just releasing the stuck energy. Uh, and sometimes it looks ugly or it looks scary, but it's a phase that we have. Like if you can find a really helpful container to go through it, it it does wonders. It does wonders. I mean, yeah. Uh, so I call it the intuitive muscle because it's like a muscle. It's the more that you practice it, the more you get better at it. And there's three steps, like three simple steps with related to practicing intuition. The first one is the act of just pausing and listening with uh, no, even with the mind chattering, but just giving ourselves permission to just listen to what is happening around us. And you could do it anywhere you are. I prefer you start with nature because that's the most safest space, the most purest space. Um, in a park, in a forest, near a river, near the seaside, just sitting there and listening to whatever it is around you. That's the first step. And without any agenda, no objective, no intention, just pausing and listening. Uh, Doing it in nature as a first step is, I say it's safe because nature has no uh, whatever energies you get from nature, it's always going to be pure and it's always going to be uplifting. Now, you can do this practice at home with your family or with other people, but if you're not really grounded, you'll get a lot of interference. So uh, do it with nature as a start so that you can build up uh, that skill, that muscle. Step two is when you come with a question. Step two, yeah, step two is learning what to ask. And again, it's tuning in to what is the purest question that you can ask. I'm trying to think of a better way to explain it. The universe, the intelligence of the universe around us, will respond to you asking a better question, a question which, um, okay, let me reframe it. Sometimes we ask questions, but the answer is very obvious and it's like it's there in our state. Like we don't feel good. We ask that question, oh, why am I not feeling good? Why is this happening to me? That's not the right question. That's a question that keeps you stuck in the same loop, in the same story. The more that you can ask a better question, a question that puts you in an empowered state, that's when the universe will start responding to you, will start showing you signs of where to go. So learning to ask better questions is step two. So the first step is listening. The second step is learning how to ask better questions. Now, step number three is learning how to receive those questions, those answers, learning how to receive the answers from the universe and channeling them back into something you can comprehend. What I use to do that is something creative, a creative act like art or free writing or even gardening or singing or cooking, like in any act, in any creative act that you're doing, where you can get your mind out of the way and just allow the wisdom of the universe to channel through you into some material form and not just keep it in your head. It might even be you talking it out to another person. It can be through your words, but it coming out as sound through your words. That's the part which is very important, is that it can't just stay inside you as it is. It has to be channeled out into some sort of material form. And like we don't judge what this form looks like, even if it's you were drawing something and it's very bad, it looks like rubbish, but we don't judge it. It came out. It just came out into that form. Uh, that's how you practice intuition. if we don't give it that material form, it doesn't complete the cycle. That was a very key lesson I learned because I was a big daydreamer. Like I had all these big dreams in my head. I would get all these downloads, but they would stay inside me. I was also someone who didn't talk much. Uh, I'm still like, there are lots of things that I just keep for myself and I tend to not share. But when they don't, when they don't have an outlet into the material form, they just stay, in the ether. They're just there. They can't, they can't complete the cycle so that the new wisdom can come through. So those are the three steps: learning how to pause and listen, learning how to ask better questions, and learning how to channel whatever wants to come through into material form. That's how we practice our intuitive muscle. Uh, as kids, we know it. We know how to do this very easily. I mean, just watch a young child, just like 2 years or 3 years old, 4 years old. In any way they play, they talk, they scribble. It's very free flowing, and they don't pause and think about it. They just do it. They're so into the flow. That's intuition. That's intuition at work. Um, but again, unfortunately, a lot of us get told, what are you talking about? Stop talking silly things, or don't do a mess, or let's do something else now. And they that this intuitive creative process is interrupted. Our task now is to bring it back, give it more aliveness, and make it more alive in our daily life. Again, it's a practice. It's not something we just do one time and that's it. It's a practice we do over and over again. Any questions on that? Uh, I, a lot of times also like our perfectionist tendencies might come into the way because we are judging the material form. We have expectations or we have our opinions about it. But that's something also we let go. Um, th- that's why like think of ways where it's easy for you to practice your intuitive muscle without judging it. Um, for me, what helped me was doing something called earth paintings, where it's some I do like a shape outside using nature things like pebbles and twigs and leaves, and I just leave it outside, and then it's like it's out into under the weather. Like if the wind blows it away, that's fine. If it gets ruined, that's fine. The point is the process of doing it was what's important, because as I was doing it, like I was listening to nature, I was asking those questions, and then I was like intuitively being told, okay, to put this stone here, this leaf here, without, trying to make sense of what it means, but just, okay, channeling into something. And then it's only like sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't, that the answer to my question becomes a big insight, and it like, okay, I get the answer and I get it and I understand it. A lot of times it doesn't. And that's okay too. Like it takes something else to happen for me to understand or receive the answer. But like that process had to happen so that whatever is in the way just passes through, and then the answer can come through different ways. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, Alison, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so how does it come through a medium like cooking or gardening? I don't quite see how it flows in. You can
Yeah,
explain. Thank you.
yeah. For gardening, it's it's around like being called to like prune certain leaves, move things around, water a bit. Um, I'm not a good gardener myself, and I'm a person who likes wild gardens, but it's just like moving things around, and uh, you need to ask like a gardener to actually know what it's involved, like knowing how much soil you put in, how much what nutrients you add, like these kind of things, just letting it intuitively come, and maybe arranging like what seeds you want to plant here, what flowers you want to put here. That's how I see it. Or like what kind of plants, even like what is drawing you, like, okay, I want to plant roses here or plant something else here. Maybe that's part of it. Um, I used to watch my mom. My mom does a lot of gardening, and she's like, oh, I feel like, oh, we need uh tulips right now. And she would just go buy seeds of tulips and plant them in that particular spot, just like out of the blue. And for cooking, it's the same, I guess, like in terms of putting ingredients and spices and um, being present to that cooking process, whether you're cutting vegetables in a certain way or um, that's the key, like being present with the process and having that intention that, okay, I wanna, the universe is helping me with this act, with this creative act. I'm I'm um, I'm calling on the universe to actually help me. Okay, what do I do next? What do I cut next? What do I add here? That's how I see it. Mm.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think I already do that with cooking and gardening and things. So, yeah,
Y-
thank you, Nadine.
Yeah, yeah. And we do that probably in so many things in our life, but we just don't recognize it for what it is. And maybe other people can see it in us and they like that in us, but we can't recognize it because it's so second nature to us. But other people would appreciate it and see us and see it in us. Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, it doesn't have to be huge, or it doesn't have to be this big thing. Like there's magic in the mundane things. That's where like life matters, in these small things, in these small interactions inside our home and our families. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that was it for today. Yeah, if does anyone have any other question? Tomorrow I'll cover how, like, what's the next step? Yeah, thank you, Timothy. Yeah. So w- what happens next? Like after we've practiced that intuitive muscle and after we are living in that regulated nervous state. Okay, what happens next? That's gonna be on tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and yeah, I appreciate it so much. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.